what my horse cost me in 2024. In September of 2024, I bought my very first own horse, and in this video I want to tell you about all the costs that came with that. Because I only bought him in September and he was brought to me in October, there are obviously many costs that I didn't have a lot of. So keep that in mind, that it is not an accurate representation of owning a horse for a full year, but I still think it gives a pretty good idea of the type of costs you can expect. So I would just keep my phone here with all of the costs that I added up. And let's start off with the purchase price. I purchased him for 3,500 euros. Originally that price was excluding his castration, but I managed to be able to get it be included in that 3,500 euros, so I didn't have to pay any extra for the castration of my horse, because I did not want to buy a 1-year-old stallion as my first horse. Next up we had the transport costs, because he was living at quite the opposite side of the Netherlands, so he needed to be brought to me, and I don't have a trailer or even a car that can pull a trailer. So his breeder was kind enough to want to bring him, and this was also her very first foal that she sold, and she really wanted to see where he would end up to kind of be reassured that he was going to a good place, even though she said, like, I already know you're going to take good care of him, but I would still really like to see where he's going to end up. So yeah, she brought him, and she was even kind enough to split the transport costs, which I absolutely did not expect, and I was really surprised and happy with, of course. So the transport only ended up being 100 euros for me, even though it is about 3 hours away from here. So yeah, that was really nice, because I had budgeted it to be between 200 and 400 euros. So yeah, love that, was really kind. Then we have stable cost, and this is actually going to be higher than it should have been, but I had him at a stable for about 1.5 months, and then I really wanted to move stables, but because of that I had 1 month where I had to pay double stabling costs, both for the old one and the new one. So that is why this is going to be even higher than it should be. So the total cost for the 3 months I had him stabled in 2024 was 1,580 euros. The old stable was 315 euros per month, so I paid 630 for that, because I paid for 2 months, and the new stable is 475 euros per month, so I paid a total of 950 for that. So yeah, the 475 of that is basically double stabling costs that I wouldn't have had otherwise, so please keep that in mind. Then we have vet cost, and I basically had almost none, but at the stable I was to that it was required to have certain types of vaccines. He obviously already was at his basic shots, but there was one additional vaccine required. The cost for that vaccine and the cost for the vet to come out here was a total of 59.15 euros, because we split the traveling costs of the vet with 5 of us, I believe. And then we have the farrier, and while he was with me in 2024 he only needed to go to the farrier once, and he obviously is still barefoot since he's only 1 year old, and I hope to keep it that way for his entire life, but we'll see what he ends up needing. But that was just 40 euros. So the total of that is 5,279 euros and 15 cents. That is basically like the necessary fixed cost, obviously with the exception of the 1 month double stabling money, but that is money that you can't decide how much you're going to spend. Stabling costs what it costs, his purchase price is what it is, the farrier costs what it costs, and the vet the same. Now we are going to get into the more optional, not always optional, but spending where I had more of a say in what it was actually going to cost. Think about halters and other equipment that I would need for him. And please keep in mind for this that he's only 1 year old, so money for a saddle or other equipment isn't necessary yet, and yeah, I'm not going to buy that before I know how big he's going to end up, because right now he's about 140 centimeters, and hopefully he will reach at least 150. And yeah, once he's 3-4 years old we will just see what type of tack he needs. But for now those are quite some hefty costs that I do not have to make yet, so I'm really happy with that. Now I have to take an exam real quick, but I will be back here with you in a few hours to tell you all about the additional costs that came with me buying a horse. See you in a minute. Okay, so that didn't really go to plan, because right now it is the next morning, and I will now continue telling you about all of the costs involved with me buying my horse. I did some research back into my spending and I figured out every single thing I spent money on. So I'll just split it out into every single item and then give you the total amount of cost that I spent in 2024. On a lead rope I spent €12.26. On a shorter lead rope I spent €8.36. On a halter €9.31. On a, I don't know what it's called in English actually, a licking stone, like a Himalaya salt stone that your horses can lick, I spent €3.50. I also bought a honey salve and that was €9.58. Then I bought some mane and coat spray because his manes were really matted, because he is the king of like braiding his own hair and then getting it completely stuck. And that was €12.95 and it has helped tremendously. Then I bought 2 more halters because he broke his first one and I wanted to buy a new one and a backup one. And I spent €19.58 on those. And last but not least, I bought an emergency kit and a sweating knife. I'm pretty sure that's not how you translate it, but it's like to get a basically a squeegee for the sweat. I spent €42.08 on that. So in total for accessories, I spent €117.62, which means that my total cost came out to €5,396.77. And I'm not gonna lie, hearing that all back, it's painful. Like I explained in a previous video of mine, I do quite some financial anxiety, and then hearing something like this back is confronting, but at the same time it is absolutely worth it, and I have already gotten so much joy and happiness from Tigo, my horse. Officially his name is Santiago, but I call him Tigo. So yeah, it was absolutely worth every single penny. But yeah, still a large amount of money, especially for a college student. I hope these calculations kind of gave you an idea of what buying a horse can cost. Obviously the biggest variable being the purchase price of your horse and tack obviously is very expensive as well. Yeah, but I hope this can kind of be like a base calculation maybe for other people who are looking into buying a horse. And yeah, it's really important to not underestimate the amount of money that goes into owning a horse, because it is absolutely ridiculous, and yeah, you really need to be aware of that before going through with a purchase. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you, and I'm really curious if you own a horse, what your horse cost you in 2024. Please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.